We listened to the lip service all summer, how everything was looking good. Well, in the opener, we got the truth. The Browns offense has some serious issues. We'll talk about it. Your latest Lockdown Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things dog pound, LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd, and we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd keeps growing. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Don't miss a minute of the action. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Well, from the second half to the wee hours of early Monday morning, I spent in the emergency room with my wife. Everything is good on that front. But somehow, I still had a better day than the Cleveland Browns. About 2:55, I guess that would have been the deadline to get the inactives for the game, and you saw that Jack Conklin's name came up. As everybody knows, I spoke last week pretty confidently about this team and what they would do and how I felt they would handle themselves against the Dallas Cowboys. But when I saw Jack Conklin's name on that list, I got to be honest, all of a sudden the fear of death came over me. I think I put out a tweet, and I think it was something of, oh no, something of that nature. It meant you were starting James Hudson at left tackle. And to be fair, since training camp opened till this point, James Hudson has pretty much been the starting left tackle. So not a huge surprise there. I'm not going to try to make this sound like I'm putting this on the offensive line anyway whatsoever. Even with Jack Conklin, we have no idea what he would have been able to do. We talked about how formidable the Dallas Cowboys front line was. Micah Parsons is just an absolute animal, as we all knew going into this game. Tank Lawrence, special player. Mike Zimmer just absolutely was laps ahead of his former pupil in Kevin Stefanski. Deshaun Watson, I've tried. And, I take heat on social media, and I certainly take some heat on the comments. And maybe because, the last we had saw of Deshaun before yesterday was such an impressive showing in Baltimore, closing out the second half comeback and beating the Ravens in Baltimore. But I think the problem is Deshaun Watson right now doesn't have the confidence within himself, which is the most difficult thing for any athlete to ever go through. Granted, he was pressured a ton and took a ton of hits. But the problem with that is once you start getting pressured as much as he was and you start taking the amount of hits that he did, now all of a sudden you're feeling pressure and thinking you're being pressured or thinking you're about to take a hit that maybe you're not. And it's really, really hard to come back from that. Some of the still shots of open guys, and there were plenty. There were absolutely plenty of open receivers. In some instances, Deshaun took himself out of the pocket, whether pressured or not. Some of the still shots don't really do the story justice because you just find an open guy and you don't base it on where, the quarterback was, how he would, there's times where he's rolling left. Everybody will expect him to just whip right around, and throw the ball, from his, right arm angled perspective. Those are tough and those can get tricky, obviously. Look, were there people open? Yes. Tom Brady was telling us that there were people open. Tight end. And I'm sure somebody got in Tom's ear and made sure they stopped doing that because he eventually did, of course. I give him credit for finishing because Coach Stefanski did say in the presser that he was, they were toying with the idea of just getting him out of there. And honestly, in any other game, any other quarterback, any other situation, pulling your starter there and going to a backup would have 100% made sense. I think Deshaun knows, how he's spoken about, and I think Deshaun knows if he had indeed left that game, you know, the criticisms would have been probably even worse than they are today, and fairly so, and deservedly so. He seems to be throwing almost every ball at the same type of velocity. Uh, there's times where he just sees guys open, and he's just so in a hurry to get it to him that he's just firing at 100 miles an hour when you don't need to always throw your number one. His accuracy is all over the map right now. I will give his credit. His arm strength looks good. I will say that the arm strength does look good. The location, there's a couple of balls to the sidelines. There were some severe overthrows that he was lucky that he got those balls back. The 2 interceptions, he's lucky it was only 2. And the thing is when you're kind of just focused and you're staring down where you're going to throw the ball, it's easy for guys to make plays. To be fair, on the one where Micah Parsons tipped it in the air, somebody's got to do something there. You can't just have Micah Parsons get an uninvited path to your quarterback. That is just foolish. It is stupid. They didn't really run very well, which was going to be understandable. I mean, this offensive line under a new coach within, whatever the new offensive system, you want to say it is 75%, 65%, whatever. None of these guys have actually played any meaningful football together, taken any snaps together. So it was kind of expected. Jerome Ford, north and south, east and west, north and south, always north and south. This is the NFL. And we'll get to more to the quarterback in segment 3 without question. What we know to this point is David Njoku hurt an ankle. We don't know how long he's going to be out. That's certainly not good. We have no idea when we're getting Jack Conklin back. That's certainly not good. Nothing on Jedrick Wills. Don't know anything on that front. His offense, even DeJuan Jones, to his credit, and, he was the first one back, and he was able to participate, with him coming back off a knee injury. DeJuan had a tough day. But, not everybody's got a defensive line like the Dallas Cowboys or the Cleveland Browns, so you think those days are going to get better. But it was a bad showing, and it was a terrible effort. You had first drive, 3 and out. Browns get the ball. Good return from Jalen Darden. You get 1 first down on a completion to Amari Cooper. Kind of sputter down from there. You get a field goal from Dustin Hopkins, and after 1 drive apiece, you're up 3-0. You thought that was looking pretty good. It changed after that. It changed drastically after that. The offense needs a lot of work. And there's a lot of questions that, I've been trying to put off for a while now, but I don't think you can just put them off anymore. The Browns need to truly have a discussion about, what they truly think number 4 can give them. Because if they don't, it could be a repeat of the 2021 season, and nobody wants that. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. We'll discuss the defensive side of the ball. Appreciate everybody for being here. Browns lose the opener to the Dallas Cowboys. Not the best day. Not the best day by any means whatsoever. Browns lose 33-17. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. I hope you played Caleb Williams yesterday because he didn't have much, but he did have 1 passing yard, which got you 1 win on PrizePicks. It'll get you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. We probably lost on every one we gave you yesterday. We said hello on CeeDee Lamb. We said Ford, Tillman, and Judy on the over. We didn't hit nothing. The Browns disappointed. I disappointed. My deepest apologies. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. This show is sponsored to you by BetterHelp. Is there something you as an adult would love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to learn new things, read, try new activities as often as you'd like? Or is that kind of lost on everybody in childhood? Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. For me, I've told you about trying to better my mental health. So I've been steadfast in that. And it's something that I know I'm getting better at, but I can always strive to be better. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back to school era can come at any age. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge if it's not working. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockdown today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockdown. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. A non-victory money. Cleveland Browns lose 33-17 in the home opener against the Dallas Cowboys. The Browns defense gave up 2 touchdowns. There were 4 field goals. I thought they were actually going to try a 71-yarder yesterday. My God, would have that been mind-blowing, right? Certainly a punt return for a touchdown. I'm not going to put this on the defense. I think the final number was, I think they gave up about 265 yards in total offense. It was a little, I think it was 102 on the ground. It was like 163 in the air when you factored in the 3 sacks. Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, and of course, Myles Garrett. Just tough. I think Dak Prescott kind of playing in the same type of situation that Deshaun Watson was yesterday, as far as being pressured a ton. You saw the difference between a quarterback that can handle pressure as opposed to a quarterback that cannot handle pressure. Dak Prescott just said, all right, we're not dialing up the big stuff today. It's just not going to be there. I'm going to look between the hashes. I'm going to get the ball out of my hands as quickly as I possibly can. CeeDee Lamb certainly was, Johnny on the spot with those types of plays. Dak Prescott, I think the touchdown to Brandon Cooks, I think the Browns got caught in the middle of trying to make an adjustment on defense. I don't think everybody was essentially ready for it, because the way it worked is, as much as Juan Thornhill kind of was over the top there, or should have been over the top there, or it was going to a cover 2, cover 3. Somebody should have been, kind of high load essentially on Brandon Cooks there. It certainly did not turn into that. Brandon Cooks, got a free release. Next thing you know is, pitch and catch. And that's the reason Dak Prescott is now making the type of money he is. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. Overall, I don't think this is, you look at what the defense did yesterday and say this is essentially the reason they lost the game. I mean, you hold it opponent to 265 yards. Most of the time, you're probably going to walk out with a W. And a lot of times you got to factor in, the turnovers at the Browns, the 2 interceptions certainly gave the Cowboys, ample field position. I think, and the Cowboys didn't really score late. So it's like, the defense was probably tired, even though the Browns offense ran more plays than the Dallas Cowboys offense did. But it was week 1, the emotions and, your tank gets emptier quicker than others. And it's really hard to get amped up when you get down as much as they did early. It's understandable. There still is a big weakness on this defense as far as stuffing jet sweeps. The defensive ends have to get upfield. They absolutely have to set the edge. This has been a problem for the Browns, regardless of whether it was, this year, last year with Jim Schwartz, or years previous with Joe Woods. They just, they have their issues. They really do. I think actually, and I had mentioned, I guess it was earlier last week, I talked about Juan Thornhill. And I think Juan Thornhill was pretty active yesterday. I think he kind of saw like the whole Juan Thornhill experience. And look, Juan can get up the field. He truly can. And, he can be, somebody that can contribute, in run game. Was definitely physical, was the Browns' leading tackler yesterday. So good to see that for, Juan Thornhill. I think the corners all had some moments, certainly. the Cowboys, offense, again, it wasn't just a great showing from the Cowboys offense. We talked about their struggles playing outside, their struggles playing on grass, and those things showed yesterday for Dallas. But if you're going to be a good team in the NFL, you have to overcome things, and that's one of the biggest differences you saw yesterday. Is the Dallas offense respected the Browns defense and knew there was only about X amount of things that they were going to be able to do, without shooting themselves in the foot, which they did a great job of not doing, unlike the Cleveland Browns offense. Some of the things we said and we thought were true. We didn't think Dallas was going to be able to run that great. And, I think Zeke was a little over, 4. Dak ran a little bit, obviously. Dinwiddie, not so great, And it was kind of, it was the jet sweeps that certainly did it in and, kicked up that average along with Dak's rushing yards that, got that average to where it was. Not the best showing by the Browns defense by any means whatsoever. Certainly not going to be the standard, what we expect from the Cleveland Browns defense. But they can't do everything. It's just a fact. They just can't do everything. I thought Jordan Hicks looked pretty good yesterday. Have some issues that we'll, hear from Coach Stefanski today. Tony Fields dinged up. Mahmoud Diabate also dinged up as well yesterday. It just was a very, very, very bad, unpleasant day for the Cleveland Browns. We'll see where this goes, and we're going to talk about it here in segment 3 because I think there's some seriously, conversations that probably need to be had. And, I try to be, a proponent here. I try to stick up for this franchise as much as I can, but, my job is to be, honest in my evaluation of what I've seen. And it was rough yesterday. It was really, really rough yesterday. We'll see where, it goes on here. You're going to go on the road next week to Jacksonville. And I think going on the road is probably a very good thing for the Cleveland Browns. Try to even this off to 1-1 and then come back, and you'll get, the New York Giants back at home in week 3. Miles, looked every bit of what we expect from Myles Garrett week in, week out. A lot of get off, certainly the Cowboys were more diligent in their chipping of players, understanding their deficiencies, with starting a rookie left tackle. For all intents and purposes, I thought the rookie center held him pretty good. Even that big sack Tomlinson had early in the game, which was a vicious hit, and I was nervous it was going to get flagged. That wasn't on the kid Cooper Beebe. It was on Zach Martin, who Dalvin Tomlinson got disengaged with, and it was a get up field quickly. I think the Browns defense just needs to string together some more reps together, and we'll see the performance that we're expecting from this team. Yesterday just it got out of hand for them, and by the time it was 7-3, and then all of a sudden, then the next thing you know, they had the ball back, Dallas, and it just kind of it's kind of spiraled out of control from there. Rough day all around. Defense, I'm not going to sit here and shame anybody. I think their effort was good enough to win an NFL ball game yesterday. Is the expectation better? No question. But we got a question, and we got some serious things we got to talk about in relation to this team. And we're going to do that next. Latest Locked On Browns continues non-victory Monday. Dallas Cowboys 33, Cleveland Browns 17. You've heard me talk a lot over the years, between my wife, my daughters, we got a lot of great places. We're not too far from New York City. We're not too far from Philadelphia. We've got outdoor venues that are great in the spring, summer, and fall near us. So we love going to any time of, sporting event, concert, play, you name it. But now Game Time has something you should check out. It's a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. The all-in pricing toggling, make sure you put this on, shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Again, make sure you toggle to all-in pricing. Otherwise, as you go through each window, you're going to see a little bit more of a fee. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 100% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Appreciate everybody who makes the show their first listen every single day. If you're not an everydayer by now, make a new plan. Stay on this plan. Should be to subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. Your reaction episode, as I said, unfortunately, I had a real life called. So there I was sitting in the ER with my lovely bride and whining, complaining about the level of play the Cleveland Browns put out yesterday. Everything is good on that front. So I appreciate you all, and appreciate everybody having to wait here. Family does come first, unfortunately, and so that's where that is at. I just don't want to punch on hit on the punt return. Look, Paraquez is a great punter, and it's great to have the ability to have a punter that can flip the field from any location. But if you don't get great coverage, and the Browns during the time Paraquez has been here, they've really been good in their punt coverage, covering these long, deep punts. Didn't get it yesterday. Devontae Turpin, great return man, found his way to the house. It's just one of those things that's going to happen. The Browns have always been able to cover the punts from Turpin really, really well. Didn't work out, obviously, yesterday in that circumstance, but I will take a guy like Paraquez and his big leg and his ability to flip the field at any given time all day long, Monday through Friday, and Monday through Saturday, and twice on Sunday. That's the type of punter I will always take. But look, here's where we're at, and you can say, yes, no offensive line, this, that, and the other thing, but I guess it was 22 pressures. And, certainly some of those are on the offensive line. I'd say half of them probably are on Deshaun Watson himself as well. It just wasn't a good pairing. For those who said they should have played in the preseason, I guess you look good right now. I mean, I can't fault it because they certainly look like a preseason team yesterday. But you're getting into this weird situation where this team was in 2021 with Baker Mayfield, where you knew Baker at the time. Baker was hurt. What we know Deshaun is he's not. He's healthy. But you knew Baker was hurt, and it just wasn't going very well. And that's where you're at right now with Deshaun. It's just not going very well at all. So how much time for a team that many believe are capable of winning the AFC North, certainly able to win a playoff game. Some people think they are capable to go to the AFC Championship game. How much time do you give Deshaun Watson to figure this out before you say it's worth looking at Jameis Winston? Look, the Joe Flacco truthers, whatever, if you all wanted to go that route, I guess, certainly something to talk about, I guess, but, it is what it is, certainly. But you really need to consider, what do you do next week? Do you start Deshaun? Do you give him the shortest leash possible? Do you give him a quarter? Give him a half? If there's any signs of it not working, did you just yank him right away and go to Jameis Winston? Because the biggest issue is once you go to Jameis Winston, you can't go back. And, if you want to be a team that's got a quarterback making as much money as Deshaun Watson is being a spectator, it's a tough spot. But at the end of the day, the NFL is about winning ball games. It's not about satisfying, an investment in a contracted amount of money you're paying a guy. If a guy's not getting it done, he's not getting it done. It doesn't matter if he makes $60 million. It doesn't matter if he makes 6 cents. If the guy's not getting it done, he's not getting it done. And for me, look, and again, I was one trying to defend him because the play that we had most recently seen before yesterday from Deshaun Watson was 14 for 14 to cap a big second half rally in Baltimore against the Ravens. What I saw yesterday looked like a guy who was light years removed from that performance. And again, the offensive line is not blameless here. Those calling for Coach Stefanski, I don't know how you call plays like that, because there were plays that were called. There were guys that were open. There were guys he either overthrew, didn't throw to, ran out of the pocket, felt ghost pressure, which is understandable. It is. You get pressured a lot. You think there's pressure coming on every play. That's fine. Did have the wherewithal to throw that money ball deep to Amari Cooper, took a tremendous hit. Coop, unfortunately, didn't make the catch, but when there's not many balls near you for most of the day, and all of a sudden one's in your breadbasket, definitely throws you for a loop. So the Browns, and it'll be interesting when Coach speaks over the next couple of days when he does speak about what their plan is at quarterback. I'm sure we're not going to get anything right out the gate this week. If anything comes, we might not even know until they play on Sunday because the Browns like to keep everything a mystery. And that sometimes definitely bites them in their own ASS. I think everybody kind of thought Jack Conklin was playing yesterday. I reached out to some people, have you heard anything on Jack? And the only thing I really heard was, I believe the assumption is he's starting, because it was a lot of limited practices last week. And it wasn't like, he had played the week before and they kept him limited during the week. Hadn't played since week 1 of last season. So just a bad showing. This team really, really needs to get this ship right. Jacksonville Sunday, coming off a tough loss that they had. Certainly the Miami Dolphins. Nobody wants to be 0-2. I don't know where we're headed from here, but all bets are on the table. Nothing cannot be discussed because you did not see enough yesterday from your quarterback to say he's our guy and he's our guy going forward. You just didn't. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. I appreciate you all for making the show your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd are a bunch of filthy animals, and they're my filthy animals. And right now, they're a bunch of fired up filthy animals. I suggest you become a filthy animal. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available. It is always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.